You are watching Park TV. Welcome to Monadnock Tonight with your host, Steve Jackson, coming to you live from the Park Theater in downtown Jaffrey, New Hampshire. Join Steve and his guests today, the founders of the Meshugenah Hat Co, Marcia and Carla Press. Now sit back, relax, and here's Steve.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome. It is so good to have you with us. This is the Park Theater and Park TV's Monadnock Tonight program. It is Thursday, September 24, 2020, and it's coming up just at about 5:01 p.m. here on the East Coast, and this is show number 49. And yes, I am Steve Jackson. I am the CEO of the Park Theater and your host. And as always, we are all so glad that you are here to join us. Our guests today are the founders of one of the most creative and unique businesses here in the Monadnock region. I think you're going to really enjoy our interview. We also have a Go Monadnock Best Bets segment with Kim Graham telling us what are the best things to do in and around the Monadnock region over the weekend and coming week. But first, a few notes. Our new program, Route 124, will be premiering a new show tomorrow. And there he is. Route 124 and our host, Andrea Cornelius' guest this week is Von Nebo. And Von Nebo is a punk grunge artist out of Gardner, Mass. The taped show will debut both on our Facebook page and the YouTube channel, which is parkyoutube.com, tomorrow at 12 noon. And of course, as with all of our shows, including this one, this one's live, Route 124 is taped. They're always archived on Facebook or YouTube, so you can watch them at your leisure. So I think you're going to enjoy, and don't let punk sound, because he has a new way of approaching punk or grunge, persuade you not to. I ask you to persuade you to give a look at it. He's a very, very talented young man. And he is joined with his friend Adam as well. And they will both be playing on Route 124 tomorrow. Next, what do we have? We have a new movie on Park PixFlix, our free movie, curated movie recommendations that we provide for you and search out the internet to find for you. And I can tell you, if you are a fan of Alfred Hitchcock, as I know many of our supporters are, and it's hard not to be a fan of Alfred Hitchcock, we have a treat for you, because this week our free film is Rope, starring Jimmy Stewart and Farley Granger. Let's take a look at a clip from it.
Say yes in a taxi. I have a 2:30 appointment.
I'm staying right here.
Oh, afraid you'll say yes?
I'll see you tonight at Brandon's party.
Okay. You can say yes there just as well as in a taxi. Goodbye, darling.
Bye.
Well, it's got a little bit, sorry about that, folks. It's got a little bit clogged there. I don't know why.
It's the last time she ever saw him alive.
There we go.
And that's the last time you'll ever see him alive.
There
what
we
happened
go.
to David Kentley changed my life completely, and the lives of 7 others. Janet Walker, Henry Kentley, the boy's father, his aunt, Mrs. Atwater, his best friend, Kenneth Lawrence, a housekeeper named Mrs. Wilson, and the 2 who were responsible for everything. Brandon Shaw, and Philip Morgan.
Now, the most interesting thing, if you have not seen this film before, is that Alfred Hitchcock shot it in such a way that it appears as if it is one continuous shot from the beginning of the film to the end of the film. And it's pretty darn astounding. Once you watch it through once, you should watch. You want to watch it through again to see how they pulled this off. They ran as much film through the camera as at that time that they could physically run through a camera. But unlike videotape, where you can run for hours today and digitally record something, back then it was as much 35 millimeter film that could be put into an old fashioned film camera, and they would run as much as they could, and then they had to figure tricks to then go to the next scene and to the next scene to the next scene. So it's very good. Go to it's up there right now, actually, and so you can go to the parktheater.org and just hit the button that says free films, free movies, and you'll find it there. So now, one last thing before we get to our interview, I just want to let you know who's coming up on the show in the next month. Next week, we have April Claggett, a well-known artist from our region. On October 8th, we have film editor who specializes in documentary films, who went to school at Keene State, taught at Keene State, lives now in Brooklyn, James Steelman. That should be very interesting. He's talking about some of the projects that he's working on right now. Michelle Stahl, as we know, has been on the show previously from the Monadnock Center for History and Culture. Will be back on talking about all interesting things Halloween as we get into the Halloween season. And finally, October 29th, we will have Mary Beth Hallinan on, and she does guided meditations on Wednesday mornings, centering Circle Sings. And they're 30-minute guided meditations followed by original chants. And she also runs the Two Rivers Community Choir. So I think there's going to be a lot of fun with that interview and with everyone else that's coming up in October. And we still have one date to plan, but it should be a interesting and entertaining month of Monadnock Tonight shows. All right, now finally. Let's introduce our guests for today. Marcia Press and Carla Press, identical twins with a long history of adventures and, as they also say, misadventures. Their current enterprise is known by, I know, some fans of the Park Theater, the Meshugenah Hat Company, located in Troy, that was founded in 2015. The style of their hats, accessories, clothing is nostalgic, it's whimsical, and it's always creative. They've been featured in numerous newspaper articles, multiple magazine articles, including New Hampshire Magazine. Plus, they were featured on WMUR's New Hampshire Chronicle program. So let us bring Marcia and Carla into the show. They should be here momentarily. And because you're both, I'm going to try to see if I can do another. No, we're going to do it this way. This is probably a better way. Hello, Marcia. Hello, Carla. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hello. I'm Carla. And I'm Marcia.
Wonderful. That helps us. And thank goodness that you've got different striped hat, blue hat, That will help our audience and myself. But I'd love to, before we get in talking about your lovely business, to tell us more about your backgrounds, where you grew up, schools, life, career. I know Carla Marcia was telling me in a pre-interview that you were a teacher for many years in Jaffrey. So I'd just love to throw it back to you guys, and if each one of you could just tell us more about your backgrounds.
You go first. You're older. Okay. I'm a half hour older, so I go first. So I'm Carla, and I taught mostly first grade at Jaffrey Grade School for 20 plus years. So I know a lot of people from the community, and I love Jaffrey community. I definitely know more people in Jaffrey than I do here in Troy. Marcy and I grew up in Long Island, New York, and our parents were academics. And our mother was an associate dean at Hofstra University, which is where we both went to college because it was free. And we like to call it the Harvard of Hempstead, as we say in New York. And I majored in history and in music, having nothing to do with what I did later on in life. And Marcia studied fine arts. Go for it.
Okay.
So after graduation, I went on to study textile design at the Fashion Institute of Technology. And for a good part of my life, I started as a designer in the home furnishings business, which means I designed textiles for home use and wallpaper and et cetera, and then worked my way up to becoming a stylist, which is the next step where you get to boss around the designers, and then ultimately art director at a company in New York called Schumacher. And that's when you get to boss around the stylists. So I was doing that for about 25 or 30 years, and it was great. I had a really wonderful career, enjoyed it very much, changed jobs frequently enough so that I could, achieve new levels of the profession, and traveled a lot through the job, both within the United States and abroad. And then at some point I was living in Manhattan, and I just decided there wasn't really much more to learn about this industry. I had done it all, and there was nothing keeping me in New York. And I thought, I'm going to go where the person who loves me very best in the whole world lives. And I came to New Hampshire. And it seems like yesterday, but it was actually about 20 years ago, which makes it the longest place I've ever lived in my life. So that's kind of where we're at. When I came up here, though, I was still working in the industry, but I really wanted a different kind of job. I mean, I felt like that was enough. And I really wanted to focus on having more personal time. So I thought, I'm just going to get a job that I can leave at the office and then enjoy my life. So I thought, I'll become an aide in a school. Well, you don't leave it. So anyway, that was the first thing I learned. But I worked as an aide for about 10 years at the Jaffrey Grade School also, and enjoyed that very much.
Wonderful. So in terms of, so both of you have had a little bit of teaching, certainly Carla more. And Marcia, you're more classically trained in the design arts. So we know now why, how did you get up here originally, Carla? What brought you to this neck of the woods?
I came up here for a government program called Teacher Corps, and I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time, and I had applied to Teacher Corps, which was a training program for teachers where you were put into rural or inner city areas where they felt that education might need some modernization. It was a little bit of a condescending concept to bring in someone who knew nothing about education and say, okay, now here you are, fix it. But anyway, so I came up here for that program, got a master's degree through Keene State College in that program, and worked in Marlboro schools. What happened was I was an an alternate. I had applied for the job in Maryland and did not get it, but I was put into a national pool, and Keene, New Hampshire called me, and I said, no, okay, I'll come for an interview, and I did, and I got the job, and the rest is history. The ironic part is that both of us have spent a lot of time in the Monadnock region since we were 12, which goes back many, many decades at this point. But since we were 12, we'd been coming up summers. Our parents owned a lovely property on Granite Lake. So we were familiar with it. And so it was really sort of serendipitous that Carla ended up here. And then ultimately I did too.
You did too.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to your wonderful company. And for those, now I grew up in New York, so the name of your company is not completely foreign to me. But I'm sure it's a fun word just to say. But I'd love for you to tell those who may not know the Yiddish word Meshugenah, to give us a little bit of background on that.
Marcia actually it came up with the name. We were going through all kinds of names, things like the Cheshire Hattery and all these kinds of fancy names. And then we decided we wanted to acknowledge our heritage a little bit, so we started in with Yiddish words. And Meshugenah was one that, as Marcia says, you throw the spaghetti on the ceiling, and if it sticks, that's the one. And that's what it seemed like a perfect name because it means crazy in the head. And
Specifically female.
Specifically female, which many people debate with us when they come to our booths because it's now used, it's a gender-free description right now, or currently, that sort of refers to someone who is delightfully crazy. My daughter-in-law, she's Meshugenah, she gives the kids ice cream and thinks it's a healthy breakfast, this sort of
Right.
thing. So that's how we came. And it's kind of funny because we go to craft fairs and we have a banner and people will stand there trying to sound it out and figure out what the word is. And many often they'll go sort of Meshugenah. They go Meshugenah, and then they look at it and they go, oh, is that a New Hampshire tribe? And so our response is, no, they're sort of a more desert group.
Yeah.
So it's the Yiddish from it's peasant Jewish language.
Well, I'm starting with the name before we even get, because it's such a lovely name, but before getting to the core of your business. But how did you start the business? And I'm certainly, we've got some little bit because of the design aspect, certainly from Marcia's end, but of preparing yourselves for it and moving into this direction and thinking there's a market out there for the type of craft work and handmade designs that you guys do.
I just want to say one more thing about Meshugenah, which is just the Yiddish language is really an amazing language. It's very descriptive. The words are just amazing, but also what is unique about this language is that Jewish people all over the world speak it. So if I were to be in Paris and come across somebody who is Jewish, I would ask them if they could speak Yiddish and we could communicate. So it's a very fascinating language.
If only you spoke Yiddish.
If only I spoke Yiddish.
No, but the one that I guess when they, I have a marketing background, so I always think of the marketing side of it. But it's a name that would be known around the world because Meshugenah Hat Co company. But everyone knows around the world that language, and they would know what Meshugenah stands for.
Well, the interesting thing is that some people have said, you need a shorter name. Nobody will find you on the internet. I mean, all you do is type in MESHU and we'll pop up. But we didn't want it. I mean, we wanted something that would be challenging and fun and a reason to have a conversation. And that it does. It really brings people into the booth.
which is our favorite venue for selling our wares. So it really starts the conversation. Usually people leave laughing. They've as a result of the conversation, which started the whole process. So
No, it's a great icebreaker.
yeah, it is.
Well, I'll let you talk about the formation of the company. It started in 2015. I'll let you guys talk about how it came about and the early days of it. And over to you.
It was about as innocuous a conversation as you could imagine. Carla and I were driving home from Jaffrey Grade School on our last day of school in 2015. And she said, "What are we going to do for money this summer?" And I had, for several years, been working at the blueberry farm, Monadnock Berries. And I said, I'm all set. So, but you should take the summer off and really learn how to sew. You've been wanting to do it. You have great ideas. And actually, Carla is the creative spirit behind, even though I am classically trained and I've spent my life doing creative work. Carla is actually the creative piece behind Meshugenah Hat. She's the one who designs the hats, comes up with the notions. The funkier, the better. So anyway, it was just this very silly conversation. She said, "I'm over the clothing thing, too much inventory, too much to deal with sizes and tastes and this and that. And the fabric I want to use is going to be very expensive." And I said, "Well, you really just need to learn how to sew first. So start small, like hats." And she said, "Oh, hats. Yeah. Yeah, I could do hats." And I said, and all of a sudden, I got all into it. And I said, "And then and she said, okay, we're doing it." So it became a joint process from that day forward, which was, after our 2-minute conversation. So essentially, Carla is responsible for the hats and the manufacturing of coming up with the designs. All of the designs are original or based on vintage pattern hats. By vintage, I mean from the 1930s and before. We like to go to funky stores that might sell vintage cloth hats, because there aren't very many cloth hats out there. So we might find some, 1930s or earlier cloth hat and then take it home and dissect it. Carla says the reason she came up with so many of her designs is that so many of the hats she's bought, which have been many, were disappointing. And they just didn't, she's forever looking for the perfect hat. And so now she has her choice. And so that's what she does when she's making a hat. She considers every aspect of it from, how can it be shaped? Like, I could wear this one this way, or I could flop it down. I could do all this depending on the shape of my face or what I feel like doing for the day. So that's an example of how she works. And I am responsible for the marketing piece, finding the fairs, developing different kinds of ideas about where we might want to go next, and how we're going to get there, and booking all the shows and doing that kind of stuff. And I'm also the accessories person. So I make all the flowers and details that get added to the hats. And it really works out well. Basically and then everything else we do together. We shop for fabrics together. We get our taxes ready together. So we do all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of joint activity too. And we share the studio space, which is a wonderful space.
And what is the best part of working together and doing what you do so creatively?
For me, I think the best part is just spending so much time with somebody I love, doing something that we love together. And I think that's been a really wonderful experience. In my business world, we didn't really make good friends with the people we worked with. There was a relationship for sure, but on the whole, it was not. I didn't spend that many years going to work because I loved the people I worked with. They were fine. I liked very much. Some of them are friends, but overall, it was not really a social activity. I mean, this is social, it's fun. It gives us an excuse to travel together to places. How about you? Yeah, we love the travel part. And it's fun, like after, I come up with something new, or Marcia comes up with something new, and she'll say, hey, what do you think of this? And it's usually pretty positive. Sometimes I go, I wonder if you added another color in here, whether it would be good. So just being together and playing. We've always loved fabrics, and we made a little video that's on our website, and on it we talk about, from the youngest time. We had an uncle who used to bring us tons of ribbons and buttons and that kind of thing. And Marcy and I would spend hours with these things, making stuff for our dolls and adorning each other. So maybe it's that fondness from years and years ago too. So
I think, and the other piece is through my job, I never really lived that close to New Hampshire, and so when Carla and I were really little, we spent every waking moment and every sleeping moment within 10 feet of each other. And as we grew up and we went our own separate ways and became our own different kinds of people, and we just, we developed as one does. And then coming back in this sort of, after our retirement, and then playing like we were 6 or 5 all over again, it's really a very unique and wonderful experience.
Well, you're definitely successfully playing. Now, when I look at the color of your hat, Carla, and Marcia, your hat, where do you go to find your fabrics and bows and ribbons and all the stuff that goes into your hats?
We have a few favorite places. We kind of go all over, so that as we're traveling to different places, we'll check out and see if there's a fabric store, and so much the better if it's got remainders of fabrics, because we don't need a lot of fabric for a hat, 1 or 2 yards. So and although I will say that we buy our fabrics in usually in like 5-yard pieces. So we make a whole line of fabrics, a whole line of hats, using the same fabric, but with different styles. But we go, there's a wonderful place in, where's that, in Springfield, West Springfield, called Osgood's. And, we say it's vintage fabric. In fact, it is, but a lot of the fabric we buy is just fabric that they're not selling anymore. It's hard to find. We also do, Osgood's is a place we go, Sophisticated Fabrics in the Boston area. They have 3 stores. Those are 2 of our favorite haunts, but we have a lot. We do buy some online. If we know the name of the manufacturer, we've seen the kinds of products that they have. It's a trusted, we know that their quality is good, we'll buy it. Our fabrics tend to be high-end fabrics, like a Waverly or Schumacher fabric. And we also, it's kind of odd, I'm looking at the hats we're wearing, and it's really unusual for me to put together a hat like the one I'm wearing, which is 2 different blues, the sapphire blue, which is a sort of shimmery fabric, and all of our hats are reversible.
In this part, which is
so this part right here is a different fabric, because if I turn the hat inside out, it would be all of this blue ultra suede. But a lot of ours have there might be 2 like a floral and a check. Yeah, a floral and a stripe, a floral and a polka dot, or something like that. So we do a lot of especially summertime, we have, really beautiful floral fabrics. And what's fun for me as the sewer is, by the end of the summer, I'm really tired of the florals. and the colors outside are changing, and I'm sort of like getting in that mood. And then I go to winter, it's like there are no florals or very few,
Right.
but the textures are so great. We've got ultra suedes and brocades and tapestries. So it's kind of neat. And then by the end of the winter, I'm like, okay, I am so done with this. And then it's like, yay, all this color. So it's fun.
Talking about the winter and then what we've had happen over the past 9 months, 8 months or so. It obviously affects everyone in multiple ways, but certainly small business folks are heavily affected by it. How has COVID and the pandemic affected your business? Because you go out to craft shows, which I'm sure you haven't done in a while, or not have done many of them. How has it affected you guys?
It's had a pretty profound effect on our business. Shortly before, we must have had some sort of divine intervention because somebody, for some reason, I decided it was time to redo our website and sort of move to the next level of doing online sales. So right before COVID, we had started that process. And we, so that was part of the beginning of the development. And then, of course, all of the shows have been canceled, even, ones that were hanging on till this fall or this winter. I don't think we have any show booked yet until next year for the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have one show coming up this weekend, which is an outdoor show. And it is sponsored by it's in Concord, New Hampshire, and it's sponsored by the Capitol Arts Center and the League of New Hampshire Craftsmen. And it promises to be a really nice outdoor festival with about 25 artists and bands and live music. And
what part of town in Concord is that? What part of the town?
Right downtown, right in front of the Capitol Arts Center. I think it's like 49 South Main Street.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough for people to know.
So anyway, we have been cranking up, and then the League also has been very helpful to artists. Number one, keeping people abreast of grant money available, which we did not partake in, thinking that there were probably people who were much more dependent upon it than we needed to be. Excuse me, not COVID, allergies.
I would say that, overall, Marcia and I are in the category of lucky people as far as this COVID tragedy is. As she said, we did not take any of the money that was available for small businesses. We felt that, that
there were people who were really suffering as a result.
There are artists who totally depend upon their income for this. Yeah. We love making money from this. Don't get me wrong. We love making money from this. We use it to take a trip to Italy or to do something. But it is not, for some people it was really devastating.
It was it's not as catastrophic for us,
right? Yeah.
And just to finish that thought, I'm sorry, Steve.
That's right.
So our anticipation is that we will move forward doing more things online, but we're also hoping that people are going to, of course, once there is a vaccine available, that will change the game, hopefully. Yeah. But also we'll expect to open an Etsy shop. And we've also opened our studio by appointment. So people who want to take a drive to New Hampshire, and we have had people drive to visit us, can book an appointment, and we just keep it very limited. We wear face masks. We have blue light to sterilize all the products. We sanitize, all that good stuff.
Well, speaking about how to contact you, number one, I've been putting up a few times, but I'm going to put it up again, is your website, Meshugenah.com. So everyone should visit there. But I'm also going to put up, there's a lot of activity on the screen right now, but Meshugenah Hat Company at gmail.com is your email address. Mm-hmm. And also your phone number for the company, 603-242-3487.
Yeah.
And so that is a way. You have a beautiful website. I've been on it several times. So folks should take a visit. You're going to enjoy it. It's fun. Watch the video that Carla was talking about. That gives a real good overview of their business and themselves, and it's very entertaining. So take a look at that. I also know that you do a lot for the give back to the community. And I know, Marcia, when we were talking the other day, that there's a special project that you're helping put together to honor the victims of COVID-19.
Right.
So if you can mention that, and when's that happening and what it's all about.
Well, I think that we actually, the person with whom I'm coordinating this with, she and I have spoken since we spoke, and originally we were going to do it in January as to mark the first case of COVID in the United States. That also happens to coincide with the weekend right before the inauguration.
Mm-hmm.
And it also is Martin Luther King's birthday, and it just seemed like it's not an appropriate time. There's just too much. So the date is still to be determined. But basically, the person with whom I'm working, her name is Lynn Merlone, and she and I, well, it was her concept that somehow we need to recognize as a nation that so many people have been tragically impacted by this illness and subsequent death in numbers that this country doesn't recognize in any way. I mean, to put it in perspective, if you compare the number of people who unfortunately died in Vietnam serving our country, it's a quarter of the number of people who are dying from COVID-19. And somehow, I think as a nation, we owe it to these people to stand together and make some noise. And I mean positive noise. I don't mean political noise. I mean noise just to say, I am so sorry that this happened to you. And we're here, we've survived it. And, we just want you to know that we're really sad about it.
Yeah.
So that is the plan. We'll keep you informed as it moves forward. But
certainly we'll. If people hold on to your website address, I'm sure you will probably make a mention of it when it's formalized at your website, so folks can look there. And I forgot to ask you, do you also have a Facebook page?
Yes, we do. It's the Meshugenah Hat Company.
Okay, so people can find you there as well.
The one thing about the memoriam, just we wanted to make it a sound of some sort. So we thought, we could put wind chimes together and make 200,000, whatever. And then I thought, well, we could just have bells chime 200,000 times. Well, it turns out that's something like 5 days, just so you know, that so that people would have an idea of what the number 200,000 represents. But I don't think anybody wants to hear bells for 500 for 5 days.
And sadly, that number will be by January. And later than that will be sadly higher than that. And hopefully, we all hope it's not going to be much higher, but it's, rough. I see yesterday where 1,000 more lives were lost. So we'll pray that these vaccines will come through and things will start to make a turn for everyone. Well, I want to say I am so glad that both of you, Marcia and Carla, were able to come on to the program. Tell us a little bit about your business, your background, all very interesting. I highly, again, recommend all of our viewers to go to MeshugenahHat.com, get to know the company, get to know the founders of the company a little bit more than even today. And thank you.
It has been our pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you, and best of luck with the Park Theater, which I think is a wonderful, wonderful will be a wonderful gathering place, and also go Monadnock. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much, and we hope to see you soon again.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, always, it's amazing the talent that is in that is in the Monadnock region. We show a lot of musical talent because of the nature of the Park Theater and film talent and so forth. But in terms of other of the design arts and the other arts within the region, it is so rich with so many wonderful people out there. And Marcia and Carla are certainly two of those folks. And so again, say hello to the Meshugenah Hat Company. I think you'll enjoy it. Now it is Thursday, and we know what Thursday is. It's Go Monadnock time, and I am going to bring in Miss Kim Graham. And look at Kim. Kim, you have honored the ladies with the wearing of a chapeau.
I know. I am a hat person.
Oh,
this is
perfect.
This is not one of their hats, but
very nice. Yeah. Well done. Well, of course, Kim, as our producer, finds guests like the Meshugenah Hat Company folks, and they're wonderful guests. I mean, they're so creative, and what an interesting story of their lives, and being teachers and being artists, and now, as sometimes people do, and in this case, identical twins, they come back to be together to form this company up here in a town that they were in an area that they grew up in, at least partially when they were kids. So it's this very, very sweet story. And
it's always so great when people are working in their passion. Yeah. It's their job. That's what. No,
you can hear that in every way they talk about their business.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Kim, exactly. Let us know, what are the best bets coming up in the Monadnock region starting tomorrow?
Okay. Yep. Starting tomorrow. Let me flip my screen. So yeah, a lot of good events this weekend. The Phoenix Mill House, which is the little house that's set behind the Monadnock Center for History and Culture, that's going to be open on Saturday. They're doing live demonstrations from 10 to 12, and it's an open house style, so you can come in and out however many times you want to see the demonstrations. They're going to have a couple of different things for you to look at. And let me just click this here. I want to say, I don't know if I can bring it up. The Phoenix Mill House was from the 1830s. Yeah. So the Prescott family is who is depicted in that living history exhibit. So then a live stream event on Saturday is the Peterborough Folk Music Society is bringing Katie Curtis, to YouTube. So Saturday night, if you would like to stay inside and listen to that performance, you can. If you want to get outside on Saturday night, there is going to be a free screening of the movie Hocus Pocus, kind of keeping with our almost Halloween theme. This classic movie, which is a favorite of my daughter's, is going to be in Putnam Park in Peterborough, and two community members, Dan and Colin from the Bean Group, are bringing that to the park. And there you can bring your own snacks, bring your own blankets, bring your own chairs, and distance appropriately. But there will also be concessions on sale from the Peterborough Community Theater. So,
oh, wonderful!
It's going to be beautiful this weekend. So it might be chilly, but that's okay. We're hardy New Englanders.
Yes, yeah, of course.
We're hardy Canadian, right? So then Saturday at the American Legion, they're having a pig roast, and they are raising money for a scholarship fund that they have there. So you can head to their website or their Facebook page and find out more information about that. If you go between 2 to 6 p.m., you will be able to get some part of the pig roast and all the fixins. So there'll be a couple of bands there as well. And then the last item that I added to this week's newsletter is just to not forget about the farmers markets in our area. On Fridays, we have farmers market in Jaffrey and in Francistown. Monday, there's one at the hospital, and Wednesday, there's one at the Peterborough Community Center. So things are coming out of the garden, but farmers are still, getting it fresh from theirs. So, or they're starting to store things. So lots of opportunities to get fresh fruit and produce and meats and eggs and other things from your local farmers and producers.
Excellent. Thank you, Kim, as always. And I've been scrolling across the bottom there to remind folks to visit your website, gomonadnock.com, and there you can sign up for the free newsletter that comes out every Thursday. I got mine today, and lists the items that Kim was just talking about and more. And so definitely join it. It's free. What more, to find out somebody that takes the time to go curate the best things that are going on and to bring them to you. It's kind of, that's a nice service. And so we thank Kim for that, and that she brings it to our show and that she produces our show. So all those things, Kim, have a wonderful weekend and enjoy the good weather, and we'll knock on wood that stays with us.
Yes.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there we go. That's another show, folks. That is another show. And always interesting, always informative. We try to keep it that way. I always remind folks, though, that, we can always use a little help. And so in two ways. One, yes, if you'd like to sponsor our program, help underwrite it, that we would always love to chat with you about. It's very affordable. But also, if you have ideas for our shows or for our guests, please, or anything about the shows that we've done on the shows, if you have questions for us, you can always just go to our email and send us a note, parktv@theparktheater.org. Or you can call us Monday through Friday usually from about 9 to 5. And if we're not here, you can leave a message at 532-9300. And next, we want to remind you to, as you're out and about, as people are still doing, that you need to be safe. So please be safe at all times. Please worry about your health, and be kind and worry about other people's health. And for everyone to be hopeful about this vaccine, and that we will get to the other side of this. It's not going to happen overnight, but hopefully there are positive things being said about the vaccines, and the moment they're available, things will at least begin to turn. And hopefully, if everyone is being safe, that will help us along there. So we can do this. And thank you to all of our first responders, medical teams, everyone, and people that have been impacted by this in small businesses, restaurants, wait staff, theaters and ushers and actors and performers, and anyone else that has been furloughed for any reason in their jobs. Hopefully we will get through it. We can do this, and there'll be a brighter days ahead. So this is Steve Jackson, and thank you once again for being with us this week on Monadnock Tonight.